No excuses.
That's definitely a good sign for Masterminds coming into this one as well. I do want to mention Jordation in this here as well for Sydney Drop Bears. Last week we saw predominantly Guzto playing here for them. So again, you know, just shifting that roster around a little bit, but Jordation was considered to be the core member of this roster. So looks like both teams at the moment at their strength, and we'll see how it works out.
And it's going to be Masterminds playing a little bit patiently, already making a lot of space for Color Hex, so that's a huge advantage for Masterminds so far.
Yeah, the dive comes in straight onto Color Hex, but like you said earlier, that flashbang, very, very good at counteracting that dive, and does again give Color Hex a lot of room, pushing his way back here. He's a little bit low on HP, but it does seem as though Masterminds have come away with this first victory. He should be surviving, and he should be fine as the cap goes across for Masterminds.
So the Drop Bears kind of had a little bit of difficulty in deciding what they wanted to do there. They wanted to go for the point first. It wasn't quite open, then they said, actually, we're playing a dive team. Let's make the dive happen. But Masterminds, GC, and more importantly, Color Hex had already set up in that small room with the health pack. They're inviting you to dive at that point.
So essentially, Sydney Drop Bears played into the hands of Masterminds there. Now, we're going to see Sydney Drop Bears try to make their second push here in, but Yuki coming up on the Pulse Bomb. Let's keep an eye on that one. See if he can manage to find something here at the moment. Just sitting inside the Winston bubble, but Shoyo is looking like a prime target. The DMEC, though, not going to be the option. Pulse Bomb does come out, but no kill to come of it, and no real follow-up potential there for Yuki. He can't go chasing into those small enclosed spaces when there's a couple of tanks there. The DMEC has come across from Kiki, and Quat's going down early on in the piece here as well. Again, Mastermind starting to find these advantages, and again, Color Hex not really being put under any pressure. He is given so much room right now, and Mastermind's doing an excellent job of keeping him safe.
And you have to appreciate the sort of backroom work that Yuki did. As I'm saying, he's also now getting the kills because previously he did a lot of damage, nearly DMEC Shoyo, put a Pulse Bomb that Quats walked into, nearly killed Quats. There's a lot of nearlies in here, but the rest of the teammates from Masterminds were able to clean up that damage. And then regardless, on the Sydney Drop Bears kind of reset there on the retreat, Masterminds and most importantly Yuki cleaned them up.
Yeah, and have a look at the ultimate advantage right now for Masterminds. Sydney Drop Bears didn't really have much to put into that last fight, and Masterminds knew it. They didn't put anything into it. Now we're starting to see a little bit of an investment here from Masterminds. The Valkyrie does come out. Yuki again coming up on that Pulse Bomb, but already the advantage is starting to flow in the direction of Masterminds. Shoyo goes down early on in the piece. Sydney Drop Bears have to back out. Masterminds again on the hunt, trying to stagger, trying to give themselves every possible advantage here early on in this matchup.
And at the 90% mark, if you're the Drop Bears, you're looking for a little bit more here. Masterminds are just getting cheap fight after cheap fight. Again, Cantor's Valkyrie, that's nothing. You'll throw that one away for free if you want. 98%, who's even going to touch the point?
Well, someone is apparently, but Color Hex is waiting here with the Deadeye. Doesn't get any value out of that one, but Yuki's still dancing around the back line. We do see the first pick of the fight go the way of Sydney Drop Bears. That is the first time that's actually happened throughout this entire map so far, but there's still so much available here for Masterminds. Billa can't get anything done with the Dragon Blade, and that's probably going to be that. He really needed to get something done, and Sydney Drop Bears, they're just relying on Jordation now, dancing around inside that point. Shoyo is still there on the Diva, but realistically, what are you going to be able to do as a solo Diva? The answer, nothing. 100-0. What a statement to start off with for Masterminds.
The foundation just wasn't laid out there for the Drop Bears, not in the same ways that Masterminds had their own. You look at the sort of work that was already put into place, put Color Hex in a great position. Yuki gets a lot of damage down, put Sydney Drop Bears on the back foot, chase them down, clean up the kills. And for the Drop Bears, when you head to that 90%, again, when it's 100-0, usually within that 100-0 on the defensive side, or rather for the losing team side, there's one fight in there where you at least have a neutral setting, if not an advantage yourself. And for Sydney Drop Bears, that never really came to pass, and that's why they lost that. But call it dark-sided, maybe it's just a slow start.
Yeah, so on to Ruins now, and this is the map you were talking about where we might see a couple of Widowmakers. Indeed, we do. Jordation and Color Hex deciding to go for one apiece. Across the board, the rest of the team comp does look exactly the same.
And this duel's going to be very important. We've already seen between Kanga and well, there it is, and that's why between Kanga and Darksided, what kind of tempo momentum this gives you for Masterminds now. Yuki's got a lot of space. Jordation waiting for respawn.
Yeah, he certainly is. That's not going to be a fun start at all. Definitely a bit of pill to swallow there for him, but it does give a lot of map positioning over to Masterminds here. They're already on that point. As soon as this unlocks, they're going to start that cap timer coming up. And Sydney Drop Bears, I'm not even sure they're going to be able to recontest this one. However, they get on there. They're going to be able to do that. And now we see the fight begin in earnest. Nellery does open up onto the mech of Shoyo. Yuki gets quad, so both of the tanks very ineffective there for Sydney Drop Bears. And Color Hex, that's 2 from 2 duels won against Jordation. I don't want to say it this early, but is it time to swap off?
I think you're invested at this point. If you do swap off, you got to go something like maybe I was going to say Genji. Sombra would have also worked here. It is, and you know, we talk about McCree being confidence thing. I think a Widowmaker is very similar to that. Sometimes you're going off, and when you're not confident and you're not going off, then yeah, maybe do change.
Well, he has indeed changed. Rodation not really finding too much luck there with the Widow. Perhaps going to be a little bit better off with the Tracer. Yuki, however, being a little bit sneaky here. He's up to 97% on that Pulse Bomb, so this might already be another potential for a shutdown straight off the bat. He's going to find Bertlog. The Pulse Bomb is necessary, and he does get the job done there in the end. Again, a great opening to the fight here for Masterminds, and it doesn't even seem like Sydney Drop Bears are being able to contest any of these fights. They're not given the opportunities by Masterminds.
Well, Masterminds are reading the play so well, and I appreciate Yuki as well, the insurance policy there. Get the nearly one clip onto Bertlog. If it doesn't work, then stick him with the Pulse Bomb as well. Coming into that, a straight 2-0 lead in terms of kills. Someone else got a kill on the other side as well. So Masterminds, 6 versus 4 right off the bat. Straight cleanup, now into ultimate advantage. It's Snowball City.
Yeah, and Color Hex has got the Infra Sight out, so that's going to buy even a little bit more time here for Masterminds. Drop Bears don't really want to fight while that Infra Sight is up, so another 10-15 seconds have gone by. And again, more time ticking away on that point for Masterminds right now.
Look at that interception as well. They've just read, and I know with Infra Sight with the advantage, but they have stopped Sydney Drop Bears from going into the side they want to go. And Sydney Drop Bears now trying to get back onto the point. Doesn't catch anyone with the self-destruct either.
Yeah, at least it sort of splits up Masterminds a little bit. Maybe the opening is there for Drop Bears as they have opened up. Cantus not able to get his Transcendence across in time. That actually could be quite crucial in the grand scheme of things. However, Kiki answers back with a great self-destruct, and again, it sort of flips back over to Masterminds having the advantage. Nellery now with a couple of kills, and it just seems as though the tanks here for Masterminds are doing so much work, really opening up the spaces, and the DPS under absolutely no pressure on Masterminds right now.
The timing really sucks because for the Drop Bears, they're waiting for respawners to get back in here. There's going to be the primal race from Quants to sort of bat things around, but they need more. They need kills specifically.
Color Hex having swapped over to the Doomfist. Let's see how this one does work out. He was very impressive on Doomfist when he did play it on Hanamura, but I'm not sure it's going to work out here, to be honest. The Sydney Drop Bears are really committing into this fight now. Yuki able to peg one back onto Billa, denying part of his Dragon Blade. Is it going to be enough, though, to keep Masterminds in this fight? Perhaps it is with that Pulse Bomb. Does D-Mech the Diva, and Yuki's certainly going ham right now. Really, again, he's under no pressure at all, and they actually get off the point. Sydney Drop Bears gifting that one over to Masterminds. Admittedly, though, it did seem to be going that way anyway.
Yep.
But 2-0, 200 to zeros as well from Masterminds. An amazing start.
And let's talk about the other thing as well, because that is now a 12-1 record in terms of maps for the Sydney Drop Bears. No longer the Sydney Drop Bears, maybe the Sydney Drop Maps.
Yeah, apparently not going to be a very easy series for them now. And yeah, like you said, dropping their first map of the season, not going to be too enjoyable, but there is still plenty of time for them to come back into this series.
Well, Elfishguy, I'm going to boop, 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 boop. Hello, production. Yes, this is Sandman. I think we accidentally went back in time and spectated the previous game between Serenity and Blank and not the one we were supposed to, because what on earth was that? Thanks, bye.
Well, that's a little unfortunate.
But seriously, what was that? What was that?
But I don't know, call it a warm-up. Again, call it Darksider, because they had that kind of slow start. But Darksider didn't lose Ilios, and Sydney Drop Bears kind of did. So it's kind of like Masterminds had a game plan that they wanted to execute. They did that, and for Sydney Drop Bears, they were just confused.
I'm confused. I'm really confused, because I expected that to be much, much closer. And if you're going to come out and you're going to make the Drop Bears drop their first map, that is the way to do it. 100 to 0, 100 to 0. It's a pretty big statement.
It is a pretty big statement, and it's certainly a good sort of shift up from what we saw yesterday from Masterminds, where now we're seeing them really being able to contest actually very easily against Sydney Drop Bears. So any sort of concerns from that, I think, are sort of allayed for the moment. Again, it could sort of be a bit of a resurgence towards the end of this series if Sydney Drop Bears start to come back into this one, which is very, very possible. But so far, so good for Masterminds. They're looking really good right now, and this is looking tough for Sydney Drop Bears. The real thing, though, is that they have lost that first map, so they're going to get to choose the second one.
I was going to say, for the first time in Australian Contenders history, the Drop Bears get to pick a map. So let's go and take a look at what it will be, and we can see that they want Hollywood.
Well, Ben, they have a 100% win rate on Hollywood, so I think that's a great choice.
Okay. Are they going to maintain a 100% win rate on Hollywood?
Well, that's a very big question, isn't it?
Yes.
From what we've seen so far today, maybe the answer is no.
So far, and the other thing is Masterminds have looked very tight on Hollywood. If you sort of remember their opening match in AU Contenders the other week, that was a super good Hollywood hold that they have. Defensively, I think they've got a great setup. Color Hex on the Widowmaker specifically, if he does go back on that. He's been deadly so far on Ilios. I expect the same again on Hollywood. Again,
potentially for him to pick up the McCree, though this time it does look like he's going to be going over onto the Soldier. We've seen him play both of those on first point of Hollywood. Soldier definitely a very, very good choice here in this composition, but it's kind of a weird sort of a split between the compositions there for Masterminds, actually. They've got the Orisa, they've got the Junkrat, but there's no Roadhog.
And I guess you got to look for the trade-offs here, right? And there's a reason that I think Kiki staying onto the D.Va here is actually quite important. There is some sort of mobility that you want to have. That first A point has a little bit of elevation and some height that you want to cover, so the verticality becomes important. But Nellery sort of holding down the fort, making sure Color Hex and Yuki are protected, are also important. That's why he's here as the Orisa.
Alright, well, let's find out how this one does go for Sydney Drop Bears. Their real key here is to get into this point without dropping too much HP over to Yuki. Already, though, the damage has been done. Bertlog is dropped off so quickly there by Yuki, and he is definitely looking like one of the most impactful Junkrats in this competition. I've got to say, I really do think he gets a lot of impact out of it.
Yeah, and this is, this is a straight cleanup. Not a single member lost on Masterminds GC. Killing Bertlog straight off the bat as well. It's like he forgot to use the fade there. And for Masterminds GC, playing their composition, playing the strengths of their composition, you want to dive into us. That's cool. We have Junkrat, we got Concussive Minds, we got Color Hex with the healing pad. We're just going to take the brunt of it and swing back twice as hard.
Yeah, not to mention that trap as well that Junkrat does have can be a bit of a thorn in the side of some dive compositions if someone gets stuck on that one. But already up to 66% now for Yuki. In this next fight, he should be getting that Riptire up, or even potentially before the next fight if some of this spam goes his way. That could definitely be a big problem for Sydney Drop Bears. However, they are going to dive in once again. Someone is stuck on that trap, exactly like I said. It's Quats. There's nothing that he can do. He can't move, and that's the advantage of the dive comp, is that mobility. But unfortunately, when your mobility is denied, it's an easy cleanup there for Masterminds.
Which is exactly what is going to happen right now. All of Drop Bears going to try and drop back to their spawn if they can. The rest of them who can't are going to get cleaned up, and Yuki now sitting on the Riptire finally that he's been building up for a while. Color Hex as well, close to Tactical Visor. Everything coming up for Masterminds GC. And for Sydney Drop Bears, I mean, they're still just waiting. There's still now 2 pushes done. Nearly half of this attack gone. 2 minutes 12 seconds rather remaining, and no progress.
Yeah, well, I want to mention that Dragonblade is up there for Billa, but I'm not sure that it really matters because Transcendence and Sound Barrier are there. Now Riptire out from Yuki. Let's see if he can deny the fight before it starts. Yes, in fact he can. Face goes down. Yuki just jumping around. And in fact the D-Mech as well. Yuki getting so much value out of that despite being in the middle of their entire team with that Riptire for so long. No one from Drop Bears can actually deny it.
It's back to sort of, we're back on Ilios almost. It feels like that sort of 100-0 sort of situation for the Sydney Drop Bears. And even when you think about what's happening now within the 4 minutes, there has to be a fight where Sydney Drop Bears have saved ultimates, which is coming up now. In this next fight coming up, they need to bleed more ultimates out of Masterminds GC, then come back for the final fight where they can win. That's got to be the game plan for the Sydney Drop Bears. Now, can they actually get it done?
Well, what I want to see from the Drop Bears here, or rather from Masterminds, is that they don't utilize both of those support ultis. Need to keep one of them in the tank if, something goes wrong in the next fight. So let's see what Sydney Drop Bears can do. Can they, like you say, bleed a few of those ultis away from Masterminds? As of yet, not really a full investment here from Sydney Drop Bears, so no concerns just yet for Masterminds, but here they come. The offensive Sound Barrier, or defensive even comes out from Taki. There's a self-destruct into the market, but it's not going to be able to do enough. Gets rid of, well, the Supercharger, but really at this point, that's irrelevant.
Yuki's been the X factor here for sure. I don't want to discredit anyone else because the other 5 members have been doing a great job, but consider that so many of these Drop Bears pushes, Yuki gets a kill right off the bat before the dive even really completes itself. It's like mid-dive, someone will die to Yuki. And when you can only complete the dive with 5 members and not 6, you're not going to get a lot of result.
Okay, but at the very least there, Sydney Drop Bears didn't invest anything into that fight short of the self-destruct. Masterminds put in Sound Barrier, they put in Tactical Visor and Supercharger.
I just said it. Yuki somehow, he just gets a kill.
There's not even any time now for Sydney Drop Bears to kind of go back and take a second fight. They have to commit to this one. There is no time. Jordation gets one with the Pulse Bomb, but Billet's got absolutely nothing with that Dragon Blade. The Sydney Drop Bears really under the pressure right now. No one's got ultimates left. Quats has gone down before he could even use the Primal Rage. And this is looking great right now for Masterminds as they continue to force Sydney Drop Bears back. Overtime is ticking and ticking and ticking, but maybe just maybe Sydney Drop Bears can get in here if Quads gets a Primal Rage off at a good time. However, Color Hex coming up with the tactical visor. That is going to be denied by the Winston Bubble. Such a infuriating thing as a soldier. And it does look like Sydney Drop Bears might just be able to cap this one.
Yeah, it's already 2 ticks gone, and Masterminds losing members as well. Color Hex has been caught out maybe for the first time in the game. Quats is free from the clutches of a steel trap, and finally it's going to be the Drop Bears capping on through into the overtime, and that needed to be a fight that they won, and still it was extremely hard fought. Again, Yuki somehow gets a pick right off the bat. Color Hex now switching onto the Widowmaker. It's danger time.
Certainly is. This is, again, something that you mentioned before this series even started. Kyler Hex on that Widowmaker, and particularly on this part of Hollywood as well. Going to be a bit of a thorn in the side of the Drop Bears. But what I do want to mention for Drop Bears is that they are starting to get a little bit of momentum coming into this one now. We've got some good ultimates coming up for them. Billa's very, very close by. And this is where Sydney Drop Bears need to really push forward and kind of push Masterminds back. Problem with that, though, is that if they get picked off by Color Hex, which is exactly what's happening, it's going to kind of reset and allow Masterminds a little bit of room to breathe.
Yeah, it's kind of 1-for-1 here, but Masterminds always get that one extra. Still no pressure onto Color Hex so far. At least the Cart has had some movement. Color Hex will just back Quad straight back to the spawn room, as well as the Cart will just slowly back on up. And now this is where the masterminded defense plan will take effect. Watch the tanks just hold that front choke. Color Hex onto the back line. No pressure whatsoever. Straight sight lines extremely down the range. And the Cart, well, it's going to be hard for anyone to get on it.
Yeah, certainly is going to be quite difficult now for Sydney Drop Bears going forward. Infrasight coming out immediately from Gala Hex as well. So quick, he manages to get that one up again. Putting so much work in for Masterminds right now in that last fight. Pulse Bomb does come out from Jordation and actually gets a pretty critical kill there onto Taki, who did get the D-Mech onto Shoyo, but so far not working out too poorly for Sydney Drop Bears. They just need to be able to convert some more kills here in this fight, and again, it's just not happening. Kiki gets one onto Jordation. That's one of the DPS down. Yuki gets good usage out of his Pulse Bomb. And one after one after one. Masterminds utilizing their heroes to perfection.
And this is the classic Masterminds defense on Hollywood. And the reason I got to point this out is because they do this pretty much every single time. This is a team with a lot of set plays that they repeat a lot, but they do work. And the reason why it's so sort of coordinated and so gelled together is because they've obviously practiced this a lot. Now again, Cart in that position, tanks on the choke, Color Hex on the back line, untouched, snipes away.
Well, he's really being untouched at this point. As of yet, not many connections, but it doesn't really matter. He gets that initial one. That's enough for Masterminds to follow up on, and 2.5 seconds left on the clock. Someone needs to touch for overtime. It's going to be Shoyo, but right after the fact, he's going to be dropped straight off the bat. And again, Carla Hex now starting to really come into his own. 2 kills there, both of the tanks going down. There's nothing that Sydney Drop Bears can do here. Billa chucks out his ultimate, but really at that point, it's wishful thinking, and their wish does not pay off. Sydney Drop Bears not getting that payload very far forward. In fact, I think that might be the best hold we've actually seen on Hollywood, barring, of course, full holds on first.
And Masterminds have done this so many times to so many teams, and for the Sydney Drop Bears, yet another victim of the Masterminds hold onto Hollywood. And so much of this comes down to the fact that Masterminds across both A defense and also B defense, and even Ilios, if we want to go that far, just find these opening picks. A lot of times it's Yuki. When Hex is sniping, it's him. But somewhere, some way, it's Sydney Drop Bears fighting with 5. It's like they're permanently down one member. They always go into a fight with 5 because someone dies.
Looks like it's going to be quad tank coming out here for Masterminds, which is definitely something that we have seen them employ in the past, and definitely something that does work out quite nicely on Hollywood first. In retaliation for Sydney Drop Bears, they do have the Tracer and the Sombra, so cutting power through those tanks is going to be a little bit tough. But Bertlog behind them to heal them up with Moira. It's kind of in a way, fairly similar, having that Moira. Both teams are going to kind of try and play a little bit clumped up, but I kind of feel like this favors Masterminds at this point.
And I do want to make a correction as well, because Taki is in right now for Dalsu, so there has been at least a substitution somewhere.
Right.
But you can't tell the difference, right? It just feels like Masterminds still winning like they are currently winning, and for even against a team like Sydney Drop Bears, it just hasn't seemed to phase anybody. With the composition that Masterminds are running here, it's very brute force, so they're going to just run into the point, dive straight into the cafe section, and Drop Bears don't have the kind of ironclad defensive composition. They've got almost a half dive themselves with Billy on the Spiller on the Sombra, the Diva Winston combo. When Masterminds hits, Sydney Drop Bears may need to respect the space, and they may just get pushed out straight away.
Yeah, well, Sydney Drop Bears, really the key for them is going to be trying to find a pick before they actually get engaged upon, because as soon as they get engaged upon, realistically speaking, they're not going to win that fight. So Sydney Drop Bears, this is a pretty critical 5 seconds or so for them, looking for something, but the Reinhardt shield is there.
The flank is good.
The flank is good from Sydney Drop Bears, but I'm not sure that it's going to be enough, or perhaps it will. Shoyo does get rid of Taki, and Yuki, he's got 70% charge, but he's just not getting the damage out that he needs. He's not in the fight right now.
Yeah, Bertlog's already going down as well, and this is where Masterminds get to execute their plan once again. The rotation somewhat slow from the Sydney Drop Bears, and Masterminds slowly going to cap away as they chip out the damage against Sydney Drop Bears.
Shoyo gets Taki again, so Taki's essentially been dead this entire time. They've been running a single healer, Masterminds, and that is going to allow Cantus to build up that Coalescence very, very quickly. As you can see going on in the back of your screen, Coalescence is flying off across the point. And on the other side, Yuki kind of just 1v1ing Jordation there. Not too fun going up against a Xayah that's pretty much fully charged as a soldier. Not a whole lot that you can do there. And Masterminds, they secure the cap very quickly.
And this time around, I think the game plan from the Drop Bears was solid. They had the flank available. You saw the fact that Quats and Shoyo came in from different angles. The interception may be slightly slow. You also had Jordation on the soldier make that sort of rotation onto the opposite high ground. The foundation, as much as I said it wasn't there before, was there this time, but just the execution a bit shy.
Yeah, and I mean, despite the fact that Masterminds were essentially running a single healer for that whole point, Moira able to put out so much AoE healing, keeps everyone alive on Masterminds, and we can see that steamroll just continues on here for Masterminds. This is typically the part of the map where the quad tank won't work out too well, and maybe this is where Sydney Drop Bears can stall them off the back of that EMP. Yuki goes down. Not really a whole bunch of a contest actually from Masterminds, as they are dropping across the board. Now though, Earthshatter comes in, and this is going to be the re-engage from Masterminds. This is where they want to close things out. We do have a defensive defensive self-destruct out from Shoyo, which does get color hex. And it seems as though Sydney Drop Bears might just hold strong for the moment. This is still a little bit too even for the Drop Bears. They came in so clutch. They stopped a few members. They made sure the Graviton wasn't effective as well. I believe it might have even been either way. But now Masterminds are still killing these members. Drop Bears charging in there, trying to do the best that they can. Billa coming up on an EMP again. This is going to be critical. He pops it straight away, and finally,
And finally,
Sydney Drop Bears have decided to push them back, or been able to push them back.
It was all a ruse.
But they get off the point.
Yeah, that is not pleasant, but what is pleasant is Yuki on Junkrat.
Yes, indeed. A lot of experience.
Let's have a look here. Yeah, so Bertlog just kind of cops one in the face, and, cool guys don't look at explosions. He just turns straight around. Bertlog dies in the background.
It's got more work to do.
Continues clean up.
I think I'm done. I think that's enough for me. I don't know if I can deal with this anymore. No. That has been the 2 quickest games, pretty much,
of today.
Of the season, almost.
Yeah.
100. You don't get quicker than 100 to 1. We saw 2 of those. And then getting stuck out, just 10 meters past the first point there on Hollywood. And then getting off the point. I'm not sure if was there something in the background we didn't see. I don't know whether it was just like it wasn't their fault and they just got knocked off or whatever. It doesn't matter. That is not the result we expected to see in either of these maps. And it's not even that, oh, wow, they came out and Masterminds played well, which they have. It's just been it's such a drastic difference between these 2 teams right now.
I think we saw a little bit of a teaser, though, because when we saw Alter Ego and Sydney Drop Bears, Alter Ego really pushed the Drop Bears, and after that you kind of feel like, well, is this going to be good enough from Drop Bears to then take it to Masterminds later? And we kind of saw Masterminds struggle a little bit against Knock Predators, but I guess just the big difference there, it's Sydney Drop Bears coming in maybe similar to what we saw versus Alter Ego, but Masterminds coming in fresh and coming in real hot.
Well, we are 2 maps through, 2 very quick maps through.